from it. We'll start off on map number 1 on Cafe Dostoyevsky, DarkZero versus TSM.
All right, so ban phase begins, and let's see what we're getting out of the way. Maverick going to be the first ban. That's interesting. Unlikely that we'll see a Thatcher, though we have seen Maverick Thatcher ban cafes before. If we do see a Thatcher, this will be a very defender-sided map. It's going to be a Thermite, though, instead. So it's a little bit of a sidestep. This will still favor the defense. That is a heavy hit to hard destruction. However, there are ways for the attack to get into those walls still. The Hibana and the Thatcher are going to be massive considerations on many of these sites, especially on the bottom floor. With Maverick and Thermite banned, though, and again, Ace is not in play, that bottom floor defense is going to be way more viable. Hibana can only open up so much. Last 2 bans will be Mira and Clash, so we get those done with. That's a lot of the information that you're going to be able to get in directly. Clash is a really interesting ban. I think it makes a lot of sense, though. We actually saw both of these teams put Clash to good use yesterday, but I think DZ really showed they have some things up their sleeves for that operator in particular.
DZ like to leave the Clash until the very final seconds and then 6-pick onto it in do or die moments. We noted yesterday and actually the DarkZero TSM match that we casted was that they like to leave Mint to pick it on the very final round, and it ended up paying dividends more often than not. So with that said, I think that's a smart ban from TSM. Take a very formidable operator out of the lineup, but it won't stop DarkZero from 6-picking onto a shield, as in round number 1, a Montaigne is going to come into play. TSM's first defense is going to be downstairs in the double kitchen bomb site, no longer kitchen and bakery as we used to call it. And, well, what do you see when you look at TSM's lineup? Honestly, pretty standard stuff. No, Kaid is an interesting choice, but Bandit does seem to be an operator that TSM likes running. I mean, Kaid is good too. It means that the hatch control from above is going to be a little bit less sturdy, just because of the fact that you can't. I mean, I guess you could put a battery on it above, but you're not going to do that. Yeah, you're not going to.
Yeah.
Just gingerly place the battery down on the... Nobody will see this one.
Yo, Parker, believe it or not, I have seen that work. I've seen it work on Oregon, on the old Oregon as well. They would Bandit, and then Hibana would just go for it and just realize, oh, I'm dumb. So... Yeah, it can happen. It's unfortunate when it does, but yeah, not at this level, not at this stage. Now, one thing for you guys to consider, for those of you wondering, we do not have infinite overtime in this series. It is a 3-round OT, so keep that in mind. And once again, 1 map advantage to DZ for the overall best of 5. So a brief update on that one in case anyone was uncertain. Now, in this round, it seems like DZ wants to clear from the top. The Montaigne pick is really curious for me, Parker, because we've seen Mint do a lot of blitz before. And actually have quite a lot of success with that blitz as well. The Montaigne, I think, it's a much safer play. He's less likely to die, more likely to gather information, less likely to get kills. So I think it's changing up the tune a little bit of how DZ wants to attack.
I absolutely agree. And the emphasis from TSM right now is to aggressively hold that hatch above the freezer. And well, DZ will be able to pick off 1 member of TSM who was roaming, and that's Merc, gunned down by Hyper. Watch both of these 2 aggressive fraggers and how they are able to play around one another, though the story for both of these teams have actually been, I would say, Eclipse or maybe even hot and cold on DarkZero, and then on TSM's side, it was Bolo, 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 Bolo. Bolo, 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 as all the charms would suggest. So anyway, surrendering the very first pick is TSM. And now the next contention is going to come over towards VIP, playing off an oh-so-familiar deployable shield that allows you to leverage that position with walls that can't be shot through and a ceiling that can't be shot through. Playing off of that ADS as well, you can pop up and do some damage to anybody that tries to enter that way, since the wall of freezer is already opened, so the defenders can return fire through it.
Now, this is really important because that amount of hard destruction invested into that outside wall is quite heavy when you only have a Hibana. Well, gas canisters going down there from Achieved. You see he hits the 50-second mark, and he knows he needs to delay this particular hallway from being accessed by the attack. His job is to prevent the push in through Freezer. So that's all that Achieved is trying to do right now. And he can use all of his utility to accomplish that goal. From the golden stairs, Eclipse trying to challenge into the main lobby. He'll get one. Chala, though, elsewhere will get hot and cold. So no man advantage too strong. Hyper will get achieved as well in the main lobby. That's the player who was playing by VIP. Thanks to Mint and Hyper coordinating, he's gone now. DZ is mostly on low HP. Chala and Geo can just stay alive for the last 10 seconds, and they might be able to clutch this, but it's not looking very likely. It's all on the Alda, and it's not going to work out. Chala with a big round, but DZ will take it.
He just gets smacked with the shield. What are you going to do? Two of the DZ members coming through the single doorway, and the Alda's actually very well equipped to deal with them. But you've got the Montaigne behind you, and I still think there was one other member of DarkZero that was on the board, so no matter what, there was really no way that Maestro was going to be making it out alive. Tough circumstance to find himself in, trapped in that corner. And I think we can all commiserate with that position, as we've all had to deal with a shield just watching, standing there menacingly.
You saw that he was Chala was trying to like hide in the corner.
They won't see me or my 12-inch gun.
That's the thing. His gun is huge.
Sorry, not 12-inch, 12 feet. I was like, I said that, and I was like, that's actually a very small gun.
It would be a small gun, yeah. And embarrassingly small.
Yeah. Yeah, way too small.
Anyway, Chala couldn't hide in the corner. His gun was too big, and the Montaigne spotted him. TSM at that point, they had to hope that the time was going to win the round for them, but DZ's not leaving enough gaps for that to happen.
Honestly, the DZ roam was what was the star of the show. They were able to take control of third floor, very quickly move to that second floor. So incredible efficiency with their drone work, and obviously we could tell that nobody from TSM was really keen on holding the cocktail part of the bomb site, or on the map rather, where the bomb site usually would be. And they were playing off of reading and the dining area with the hatch open in the freezer. And then naturally, when DZ gets control of that, their focus is then going to shift on to the rest of freezer, which is inevitably which is eventually where the Montaigne of Mint ended up going. But in order to do that, you need to ensure that A, you're taking care of whoever's playing in VIP. As I said, that's a strong position when you've got the deployable shield in that particular area, because you can see through those slats in the shield. You can be able to play off of that if you've got ADSs, if there's a Wamai on the board, which obviously there wasn't in the previous round, there isn't now either. He's not banned, so he can be played. But with the utility that you need to bring on this bottom floor defense, where, by the way, TSM is going to go again, they're going to give Kitchen a second chance, or a second crack at it. The Wamai obviously would have helped there. ADS helped. It was coordination from Brownstairs, as you noted, with the EMP to just shove off whoever was playing over in that direction, and then Hyper came down. I believe it was White Stairs, right there where you're looking for just a second. So, well played by DZ. It was a methodical entry, and they were able to pick off the roamers quite effectively.
Take a look at this. You could see that TSM have adjusted their roam. Instead of Merc playing by reading, he's now... Oh, he was playing in dining with Bolo, but they'll fall back before even the half round mark. That's droned out as cleared by Eclipse, and that's... Well, I was going to talk about how passive TSM had become on the roam. No longer extended upstairs, just, waiting in dining for the fallback. They got even more passive before I could even get to it. 2 breaches used there by Hyper to get a lot of information above the B bomb site and potentially deny some anchor positions. Merc will rotate over to small. Now, he can do some good work from there, but that's dependent on DZ not droning him out, and also on DZ actually going there and exposing themselves to him.
I think TSM on that very first round might have been itching for a fight. In this case, they're not so interested, and I like that they've fallen off faster this time. Obviously, having more guns on the bomb site when the execute happens, knowing that a Montaigne will be a part of it is crucial, and you're going to need to ensure that you have as many things in your pocket as possible to deal with it. Now the push from DZ is going to come onto that back of Freezer, and Prime to be able to shoot away at the X-Kairos is achieved, but he misses actually most of them as he's wary of getting taken out by somebody watching in that part of the map. So now he's just going to have to stall as best he can, tossing out a toxic canister with the Valkyrie as backup, watching those brown stairs, playing off of the bar. TSM have not really committed to fights all that much. They've been very passive and they could just snap onto DarkZero as Bolo's first engagement will come. He pops up, beautiful shot onto Eclipse. Chala's there as well for TSM as they find their 2 kills. The Monty will continue to push on in. That's pressure that will need to be dealt with. Oh, but Chala handles it very well. Hot and cold in a 1v3 that very quickly becomes a 0v3. And TSM hangs on. All it comes down to, Michael, was that clock, and TSM played that masterfully.
So a couple major differences in that round. First of all, there was no pick upstairs for DZ because TSM got way more passive on the roam. TSM's roam was effectively, hey, we're here, spend time clearing us, and then fall back immediately right after. About 140, they decided to retreat to the site. Now, Merc extended out to small. That gave good control on Red Hall, which enabled the play inside of the main lobby and VIP to be a lot more solid. Not having to worry about your flank is a wonderful thing when you're roaming in the main lobby. About a couple other major differences is that we didn't see the VIP main lobby get cleared out at all. Now, DarkZero struggled with that. Achieved doing a much better job this time of not only hurting the hard destruction on the freezer wall, but also delaying the push in through the hallway itself. Now, he got put down to about 12 bullets left in his last magazine. Achieved was about to be harmless at range. Still had the shotgun, but still. But it didn't matter at the end there because there was no time left. Olo also won his fight in the main lobby on Brownstairs. That's a big difference, of course, between the first and second round. The real kicker here is that DarkZero did not adapt at all. TSM did.
Yeah, I cannot commend them enough for how much they were able to just get away without sacrificing anything. And it's funny enough because one of the teams that we used to talk about being good at that historically was the old Space Station roster back when they were, I think they were playing under Most Wanted at the time. Chala was actually a member of that team. And the one thing that we would often talk about when watching their matches was that they could hold map control very effectively. And the moment that they realized that there was too much pressure coming, they got away without losing anything, and they would get back to site and ready themselves for the storm that would be crashing on their shores. And oftentimes it would be enough to give them the round victory. So the TSM now doing an impeccable job of it. So that was after their second attempt, though, and I think that's one thing that needs to be mentioned too, was their first attempt at Kitchen. They tried it and failed, and well, you got a redo. We'll likely see Kitchen one more time. I don't know what you think of the site rotation here, but I think that a Kitchen defense will probably come once it opens up yet again. As for now, it's going to be a reading defense on that second floor. For people that are fans of Cafe, you'd realize that that top floor that we used to see all the time of Bar Cocktail doesn't have the same pick rate that it used to. And that's because I think teams have realized that it's more valuable to defend the 2 bomb sites on the second floor and use that top floor as a buffer.
It's a really great roam position because you can cut off the middle of the map thanks to that balcony and double bar. It's so exposed. If an attacker decides to push up it, it's very dangerous, which means that effectively you can only push on half of this floor. That's by freezer. There's also a big wall between the bathroom and the actual hallway. So it's like one hallway and freezer. That's where you can push up and still have cover as an attacker. That's why you see these extended roams like the one that DarkZero is doing, or rather TSM are doing right now. DarkZero on the roam clear, they're going to be opening up above train. That's a great access point because they can push into dining from there. You just have to make sure they get open the sidewalls as well.
There's a minute left, so a lot of time now being taken by DarkZero to try and ready their execute, and a drop from Merc could be right onto the head of DarkZero. We'll see as the call is being made, and there you go. He picks off Hot and Cold and flicks onto Hyper. 2 kills for him. He's traded out from above, but the damage is already done. And with it, DarkZero will now need to make their push happen without Hyper, without that disruptive ability, and without the hard destruction of Hot and Cold. They'll also lose Eclipse. So DarkZero finds themselves completely outmanned. Chala doing his best to try to break double digits. He's on 8 kills so far. He won't get the last, though. That's Geo from above. And TSM holds steady on round number 3, and they take the lead in this match.
Great coordination there for TSM. You could see the patience on Merc. He was waiting for the verification, the absolute information on his opponents before going for the play. Now, that information was almost certainly relayed to Merc by Achieved, who is playing on Pulse. It's a great tool to have in that situation because you can just see those heartbeats through the wall and be like, yeah, he's exactly here. You could see Merc was playing with that certainty, and it worked out very well for TSM. Nice blow there on the second round. Now, it'll be a top 4 defense next for TSM. Some teams like to go to engine, some teams don't. It's hit and miss. And sometimes what you'll do is you'll just probe these rounds to figure out where it is working and where is not. It's, not just down to you as a team when defending, but also down to the enemy team's comfort level on certain sites attacking. Well, there's a lot to consider here for TSM. I think top 4 is a solid pick, though, right now. Now, that last round, DarkZero not fully committing to the top 4 clear was a safety precaution, but that ended up biting them.
Really impressive stuff from TSM. And one of the things that I really think that TSM seemed to lack yesterday in both of their matchups was ability to find opportunities and capitalize upon them. I'm so glad that we got to see the perspective of Merc getting called out and immediately dropping and picking up the frag on the hot and cold and then pivoting onto hyper, because that's an opportunity that was seized. And it was great coordination to get that, obviously, but more than anything, it was TSM working as a unit, and it's something that I think has been semi-absent for this team over the last couple days. They showed that they could do it just fine on Friday. Saturday was a bit of a stumble, and it was a rough day for them. Well, the one question that I think a lot of people want to ask with this matchup, and I mean it will be answered when we get to the end of the finals, is are DZ batting above their average? Are they hot right now? Is TSM asleep at the wheel? The coaches obviously sounded off on their perspective when Veli was talking to both BC and Pojo Man. But right now, what we're seeing so far in the early days of a Cafe Dostoyevsky map that was picked by DarkZero is that TSM seem to be showing up, and they're very ready for today. Chala in particular, obviously. While DarkZero, they're doing fine, but they're going to need to be a little bit sharper because the TSM they played yesterday, it's not here. This is a better TSM squad already.
That's true. They've been looking very solid here. TSM already in this round have a great setup. You can see Achieved downstairs. He's got a C4 in his pocket. Whenever the push comes in through into that main bar, he'll be able to deny from below. In fact, he might be able to do that somewhat soon here. DZ are droning the site, as you can see. They're getting information on their opponents up close, but they haven't accounted for the roam downstairs. So that is going to be a serious upset when it comes. Oh, no. Okay, interesting. C4 used for hard destruction denial. That's actually not a bad thing. That's fantastic. No kills coming out from the C4, but the wall will not be opened up as Habana has used all of her Excaros. So you've got the bathroom wall open, but no direct access to freezer. That makes it much easier for Smoke to anchor inside of the back bar storage or freezer and deny the plant.
And again, DarkZero will be battling this clock, just as we saw in the previous round. It's going to be the greater enemy than their actual adversaries on the board, and the 5 gentlemen on the other side of the server that will be looking to punish them. And just as Merc does on the skies, hot and cold going for the plant, though, and there doesn't seem to be enough visibility or coverage. A bit of panic from Chala. He gets taken out, and Merc's kill was all for naught as TSM are just sweeping everything away. It's all on Achieved's shoulders as Geo falls down below. So Achieved will now need to head on up, and he's watched on red stairs. DarkZero managed to make a miracle happen. 45 seconds on the clock was plenty of time, and a large part of that was because TSM did not know that the plant was going down. Hot and cold, well, he just throws a wrench in the plans, and DZ takes round number 4.
So there's a couple big factors there, but it all is, as you talked about, really pivoting around the plant itself. I hate to throw Charla under the bus there, but he definitely was the main player on TSM to deny that plant. I'm really surprised that he missed that. That's unfortunate. I know he's kicking himself about that right now. You miss a smoke like that, and the second one hits the wall, everything starts going wrong. Unfortunate for TSM. Props to DZ, though, clutching up there. That's pretty significant. I think that round easily should have been won by TSM after the hard destruction was denied. We talked about earlier, because of these bans, hard destruction is so vital to the outcome of these rounds. It's Cafe. This is not one of those maps where you could just throw hard destruction out the window. On the majority of sites, you will need it to accomplish your goals. And even the little that we did see there on the bathroom wall was useful for DZ in getting control and solidifying control of Pixel / close white hallway. Uh-oh. Oh gosh, I hope he makes back. I mean, we are in the prep phase, so it's going to be likely a rehost call after Achieve disconnects. Bolo will type it out, and our observer will confirm it. Now, that should be no big deal. We should just pick up from 2-2. Not a huge bump, I guess, speed bump, but life will move on.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine here. But anyway, welcome back to us. Hope you're having a great time watching this matchup.
I hope that I didn't see that. There's so Mint picked, he 6-picked into a blitz. I don't know if anyone, I hope they didn't catch that.
They probably did.
I probably did.
They probably did.
Yeah.
So I mean that's one of the, obviously that's one of the downsides of having to rehost, is that something is given away. Maybe on the defense it's a defender setup that's given away. On attacking lineups it could be your 6-pick. Honestly, it could be your 6-pick either way, because both teams have access to that mulligan, that do-over style of cheekiness that we see from teams time to time. I mean, you could basically flip a coin to determine if DarkZero is using their 6th pick on a shield operator, and well, 50% of the time you're going to be right, frankly, because that's what they love to do it on. They've also 6-picked onto a Ying, if I remember correctly. They've 6-picked onto a Montaigne, and this obviously not in this match. This is in previous matches, and yeah, I mean, you're able to fly under the radar of your opponents, and gives you a leg up. Obviously, the jig is up, I would say, if they know that there's a blitz on the board, which I think is very likely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Both teams, I'm sure, will do what they can to, work out when we get back, well, how they're going to take the rounds. So what we've seen so far, let's talk about that. I think my main observation thus far in this match is that we're seeing a lot of really high-intensity plays from every single player. Clearly, that everybody involved in this match is obviously very, very focused. But it's causing a lot of interesting scenarios to pan out. It's causing a lot of precision and simultaneously a lot of shakiness. A couple of major mistakes have cost both of these teams throughout these rounds. And the most obvious one was the one that we all saw when Chala was trying to smoke and deny the plant from inside a freezer behind the shield. And that's just one example, of course. And I don't think that's necessarily indicative of a lack of focus or a lack of preparedness, but more actually just the opposite. I think that both of these teams are very invested right now, and it's really showing in their gameplay. It's hard to find the balance where you're really putting your best foot forward while also being intensely focused and invested into a match. Sometimes you can get a little bit overextended and it can cost you, and I think both these teams have had examples of that. I think both these teams have had examples of perfectly executed rounds. Neither team is letting opportunities slip by. We saw for example, Merc, when he dropped into pillars, that's an opportunity presented by the information gained by the pulse. Merc seized upon it. Massive. DZ, the smoke's missing his gas canisters in that last round we just watched. They go for the plant. They get that plant. Massive. Now, many other teams in those scenarios will falter, or the Merc, if he's someone else, wouldn't commit to the play, and those 2 kills wouldn't happen. But not so here, and I think that's bodes well for both squads.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. They're bringing their A game as we would expect, and now we're going to get back into the matchup, by the way. This is round number 5 for those of you that are without a visual. And there's no ban, so I'm assuming they're gonna play, and they know that they won't play Mav, Thermite, Clash, and Mira. I don't know if the lobby will be remade. Sometimes in the past, teams have just played without picking any of those operators. I think that's very doable. They know who the ops are that they can and can't play, and we'll see what the teams decide. There's also a 6th pick onto the Blitz yet again. So obviously with a rehost, the round right after a rehost, You have to go to the same site. You have to pick the same operators. So there was no way for them to be able to get out of that one. But it looks like we're just going to play on. So they're the players obviously will do battle under a gentleman's agreement of sort, and they won't pick Maverick, Thermite, Mira, or Clash.
Yeah, I think that's fine, you know, as long as their memory holds up. The only difficulty there is that, say, random scenario, we see one of the band operators get picked. Man, I gotta imagine the ruling on how that's gonna be. So we just, it's gonna be confusing if we ever get there. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. Fingers crossed. Now, bottom floor defense. Once more, a 6-pick onto the bullets from Mint. An abundance of soft destruction here. The only hard destruction available. It's still a kitchen defense, though. I talked about it earlier when we're going through the ban phase. This site is going to be exceptionally difficult to attack with only one hard destructor. And it has proven to be just that so far.
It was DarkZero who had that second ban for attack, by the way. So them banning the Thermite means that they knew that the Maverick ban was already in play, right? They're the ones that knew that they could play around it. So they shouldn't have as much of a struggle as you'd expect. But, I mean, we've seen teams ban operators that have been quite detrimental to that team's success. So sometimes you can theory craft all you want, but theory is only half of the battle, and you have to actually do it in practice. So anyway, first time that we saw a kitchen take from DarkZero. They were very strong on that top floor, and well, there's going to be early action right now as Mert gets punished, Geo a refrag, and now the shield comes out, but a missed opportunity as Chala gets away with 25 HP, and DarkZero finds themselves trailing. But this is a very quick round, and there's a sense of urgency from DarkZero coming out, as we are still over half of the round to go. 3 people dead in the server right now, and as I pointed out, advantage in favor of TSM.
Still very winnable for DZ, though. They got the control that they were vying for. They're going to be able to open up the prep wall, but not the actual bakery wall. Bandit is playing by that wall, I believe, and might be able to trick it. No, he's fallen back. So if they get the initial set of batteries, which is easier said than done, then DarkZero will be able to open up that bakery wall at least a little bit. Clips gets it done and gets away with his life. That's huge, which means Hibana can now open up the wall, gaining a line of sight and access point to the A-bomb site. This is going to establish a crossfire as well and make it much more difficult for the defense to retake A. But there's plenty of indirect denial. There's Evil Eyes, C4s, and gas canisters that the defense can use to deny the plant in A without retaking the site itself.
So after that early action, Michael, things have slowed down just a touch, and TSM knows that the execute's going to happen from the A-bomb site. There goes Hot and Cold, trying to go for the plant. He was successful on the previous round. Hyper with good coverage. From above, Eclipse gets felled by Bolo. Diffuser goes down. TSM still an advantage, and now it's all on the shoulders of Hyper, who finds one on Chala. Diffuser being started, but he's going to get shot away at from the Valkyrie. He doesn't know where he is. Hyper can't land the shots. Bolo dances around him. And Geo will be able to get the remainder of that diffuser. Lead goes back to TSM. Back and forth they go. On defense, at worst, TSM will tie. That's pretty close. Cafe, you often see those 4-2 scorelines. Still very much doable.
Yeah, I think that even, a 4-2 is not going to be the end of the world for DZ. They're coming close a lot of these rounds. That round, let's see. Most of that, I think, comes down to Bolo's play. He got 2 very impactful kills. I know we say his name a lot, but I do think that he was the sole reason that TSM was able to retake the site. He did some massive things there. First thing he did was he got the kill on the player inside of Prep. I believe that was Eclipse. Not too certain about that, but either way, he got the player on the player in Prep. Or he got the kill on the player in Prep, pardon me. Now that's massive because it opens up a take into this A site for the defense. And that's what allowed Bandit to push the planter and get his kill. And you get that done, and it's all on Hyper. He's playing on an off angle, and he's not going to be able to hard hold the bomb site itself. Not going to be easy for him to retake in that scenario through the rotation. Hyper starts to panic. He's got to reposition, and Bolo actually masterfully goes to the last place Hyper expected him to go to. You can see Hyper checked red stairs. He started getting shot. He checked brown stairs. And then where was Bolo? He's in the site. He came down from wide stairs. The last place again Hyper was anticipating. So I think he just had a masterful round. And you know, I don't think it's necessarily, you know, over talking about Bolo, but darn, man, he did really clutch that one up big for his team.
Also erased our Chalice stats. I don't believe he's broken double digits officially. I think he'd be at 9 kills, if I remember correctly. Some of them were impactless. Let's get that out of the way. I think he got 2 or 3 kills as Maestro that one round where they still lost. And honestly, your KD isn't the be-all, end-all. Depends on your role. Depends on how big you're coming up in rounds here. There really hasn't been a poor performer, I would say, for either of these teams up till this point. Though Eclipse has been a little quieter than we saw out of him the last 2 days, but I mean, I don't, over a best of 5, of which we will play 4 maps, a minimum we'll play 2, I suppose, but I expect him to wake up at some point.
Yeah, usually with these kinds of marathon matches, you're going to see players have a bad map here and there, and then suddenly they come alive. You know, the one thing to consider is that every single player in this lobby is deserving of being here. That's why they are here. It's not as if DZ or TSM have these low standards where they just let anybody play for them. There's a lot that goes into someone getting to this point. A lot. And I think it was, you know, part of the note that was touched on in the in Veli's coach segment. Aggressive peek there from Bolo. He'll lose a lot of HP as a result. Does a little bit in turn, I believe, to Hot and Cold, but yes, really strong favor there to DZ.
TSM might think that the walls are starting to close in on them here as they are defending that same reading dining bomb site on their very final defense before these teams swap sides. And this is a familiar one. It was only played once by TSM just a couple rounds ago, and they did a strong job of being able to keep on it. And most of that was their control of that 3rd floor. This time they've conceded the 3rd floor a little bit earlier and have fallen back closer into the heart of the site. And if they're not on the bomb site, then they're at least pretty damn close. The thing that they're going to have to tussle with is that Montaigne has pushed his way towards white stairs and is waiting just for somebody on TSM to slip up. He's also giving coverage to allow Skies to just demolish the entire floor of Cocktail, joined in arm in arm by Hot and Cold. And there's plenty of swings of that sledgehammer still left. Hot and attempting a default plant in reading. Everybody knows where that tends to be. Hyper drops, and it's a repeat, but Merc is able to catch him out. A C4 will connect with Hot and Cold, so that's the diffuser surrendered by DarkZero as TSM has found 3 kills now to DarkZero's 1. Things look like they were shaping up quite effectively for DZ after that initial skirmish, but it's been all TSM since then. And Skies gets shot in the back across fire, multiple angles as the C4 gets tossed out. And Geo will be the one to complete the sweep for TSM. The first half is over. TSM takes it 4-2 as we come to expect when you're playing on Cafe on defense. It's DarkZero's turn on defense. TSM will go to attack.
All right. So 4-2 as discussed, as you just mentioned, that's not that bad for DarkZero. DarkZero clearly had a problem attacking onto reading. That was a huge struggle for them time and time again. Kitchen was also very difficult. And I think that a big part of that is going to come down to the hard destruction. Now, you mentioned how TSM were the second ones to ban, and thus they were the ones to double down on the hard destruction, double ban. And TSM, as a result, should know how to deal with this. But as has been talked about, that's not always the case, and we've seen teams think they know something in practice, and then when it comes to the actual match, it cannot be the case. So we'll see how TSM handles this kitchen defense from DarkZero. Hard destruction, again, going to be such a massive factor here. On the denial front, we've got a Mute and a Bandit. No Kaid being brought. Now, the Mute is probably going to pre-place some jammers on the walls. Though, since Thatcher is in play, it's really on Bandit to deny the walls actually getting opened up. Dropdown's getting reinforced by DZ, and they're also going to reinforce the set of walls instead of reading. This is suggesting a roam. Another thing that will suggest a roam is the Mozzie. He's going to be putting his pests upstairs to deny the drones, clearing out, getting information on that middle floor. And that's going to slow down TSM if they commit to a middle floor take.
One thing I do want to bring up in terms of stats, by the way, now that we switch sides, is DarkZero tends to excel really hard on their attacks. This is a number that is trumpeted quite often. We like to reference it because most people would contend that the majority of maps in the map pool are very favorable to the defenders, and that I think going back every single season of professional play I've casted, the only season where the attackers have had a net win percentage was the Lion season. It was the first season of Lion. I think it was like 54 to 46% or something along those lines. So the fact that DarkZero is able to do so well on attack is great. Obviously, they take 2 rounds attacking on Cafe. Their map against TSM, that's not so great. Obviously, they're going to have the benefit of a map now working in their favor, but at the same time, DZ has shown that their defenses haven't exactly been as strong as their counterparts in the region. So if TSM can take a couple rounds or 2, I think that might be enough to put a knife in the heart of DarkZero's chances on Cafe.
Yeah, and that'll even us out to 1-1 on the maps. Of course, slate. Yeah, the clean slate. Of course, if you haven't been here, this is map number 1 for play, but DarkZero get that auto map victory since they came in from the upper bracket. This is as a result of DarkZero obviously beating TSM earlier. Now, Merc has positioned himself in coat check. He could actually do so much work from here. Skies is probing. It seems like DZ's aware. 2 SMG-11s, though, they got to be careful. They really need to land their shots. Limited ammunition in those magazines. And they're both still testing Merc. Meanwhile, the roam clear upstairs is trying to open up some holes. Chala will get eclipsed, so Mozzie done. That was one of the roamers. Mint is going to win the fight against Merc that we were seeing earlier downstairs, and Merc paying respect where it's due. Now, there's not a lot of time left for the attack to hit the site, and they haven't really accomplished as much as I think they'd hoped they had. They at least got the roamer. That will be big. They don't need to worry as much about the holes above. That'll allow them, I think, a little bit easier access to this tiny hole that was made by Geo.
Hot and Cold is itching for a fight through that opening that you'd mentioned, and while he's going to need to just hold off the troops from TSM, he'll be aided by one of those toxic canisters being deployed by Skies. He's got 2 left in 20 seconds. That means that you'll be able to blanket the remaining timer. Just narrowly evading the frag grenade is the Hot and Cold once again on his belly. We talked about how important he was going to be, and he's the first line of defense. But right now, TSM just bursts on in. They get so many kills, but pistol out, Hot and Cold is gonna clutch! What a huge play from Hot and Cold! And he's not the first line of defense, he's the last, Michael. What a showing from him in the dying seconds of the round, and DarkZero take it.
What a moment for Hot and Cold. The man who they say his name speaks for itself. In this moment, he was certainly hot. And geez, what a round to take there. Now, it's actually kind of a bit of a throwback, Parker, because Cafe has been Hot and Cold's best map since before it got reworked. Like, I don't know what it is about Hotton on this map. Even, again, way back in early days. We're talking first year. I don't know why. He just plays well here. Hot and Cold always plays well on Cafe. And in that moment, Hot and Cold just single-handedly won a round for his team and changed the entire landscape of this map. All of the possibilities have shifted. Well done to him, and congratulations to DarkZero. Beautiful play there.
What was it? I remember we talked about Hot and Cold on this map back when he used to play Ash.
Yeah.
And that was the old Cafe, before the rework, if you remember.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. He's always been good on this map, and I don't know what it is.
I know that's what you were talking about. I was vouching and giving
I think it was
legitimacy and showing that we are of the same mind, Michael.
Was that back when was it Flipside back then?
It was either Flipside or it was SK, one of the two.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yes, it was quite a ways ago, Michael.
Yeah.
They might have even been playing under Homeless at the time. I can't remember exactly, but
that's a small pocket of history there.
Homeless, and then Homeless was after F3 before SK. Ooh, and then they got... Oh my goodness, look at this. Hyper just standing under Red Hatch, waiting, just itching for a fight. Doesn't get it, immediately falls off. And he heads over towards the skylight. He could have been picked off if somebody from TSM was looking in that direction, but Hyper is committed to this. He is not going to be shaken off of pillars right now.
Now, sometimes clutches like the one we just saw from Houghton, they have interesting and different effects on certain players and certain teams. It can be varying. Sometimes it amps you up and makes you want to go for fights. Sometimes it, solidifies your confidence in your team and makes you think that, if I die trying to make a play, then it's okay. My team's got this. Sometimes it just makes you play sharper. I mean, but generally speaking, it's a net positive for a team when one of their players clutches like what we just saw from Houghton, and it will always get you in a better mindset, whatever that mindset happens to be for the respective match.
So now when we look at this bomb site in particular, it's a reading defense on that second floor. As we talked about, the team's using this third floor as a buffer, as DarkZero is very strong on the east side of the map. And there goes the disappearing act of the Wamai. So Mint immediately drops, and TSM have got control of this side of Cocktail. And would you look at that? Hyper has not been removed from pillars. Skies and Mint have been removed from the server, though, by both Merc and Bolo. So TSM, two very early and very quick picks into this action. When I say early, I don't mean into the round. I mean into the execute that's unfolding. Hot and Cold answers back. He's going to continue his good play before getting silenced by Merc. So TSM trades that one off quite quickly. Eclipse under the radar on white stairs. He's able to take out Geo, but not get back to the bomb site. TSM trading admirably so far, leaving Hyper in a final situation now between, three members? Make that two, as Merc dies. Chala and Bolo against Hyper. Hyper sees one! The second drops! What a clutch from Hyper! In pillars, he spent the entire part of the round in that exact location, and it pays off. DarkZero stealing around, and they tie up the map 4-4.
The most impressive thing that I can say about Hyper in that moment is he had the patience that none other on his team had, or no other rather. He played in pillars, as you mentioned, for the majority of the round, and was a thorn in the side of his opponent consistently throughout the round. There were many options for Hyper there. He could have peeked wide and pillars. He could have repositioned into the site to assist his teammates. He could have played for a retake on red stairs. He had a plethora of options, but what Hyper opted to do was stay in pillars. And the reason why that's so crucial, why it's so impressive, is because it requires incredible forethought. He was aware of where the enemy was attempting to take inside of pillars so they can push into reading, just as ZZ had done in the first half. And he was aware that his existence in pillars hindered that push, or rather even completely stopped that push cold in its tracks. So Hyper just stayed. He didn't overpeak. He never exposed himself. He only seized upon the opportunities presented to him by his opponent. And boy, howdy, did that work out well for him. You saw how that was contrasted by many of the other players on DZ going for aggro plays, getting refragged immediately by Merc, and all over the place. The pressure from above, the holes made in the floor. Oh my gosh, TSM did more work with those holes above than we usually see. It was impressive stuff. That was what I was going to praise TSM for. I thought they would win it, but Hyper's patience wins it out.
Patience is exactly it. Hyper had started to head towards white stairs because the call was made from the hatch, and he got the very first pick from that angle. And then I'm almost certain, whether it be intel or whether it be sounds, he knows that there's somebody above, and he immediately turns and heads over towards pillars. And I think you nailed it as to why he was there. And, well, a big round from Hot and Cold 2 rounds ago, and a big round from Hyper just now will be the stories for DarkZero. And I mean, without those two clutches, and I think it's safe to say that TSM had those rounds until the dying seconds when they didn't.
Yes.
This could be match point for TSM, and that is a tough realization to come to. But for DarkZero, you are going to use that as best as you can and try to capture that momentum and continue to ride it forward. And now here in round number 9, DZ has not led since round number 1. They have either been tied or trailing TSM. So they are going to do something that they haven't done in well over half an hour, which is try to lead this map. And by doing so, they would take 3 rounds on defense, which is at minimum what you want on Cafe. They're defending upstairs, and well, they've got the Vector in the hands of Mint down below. He's just going to watch both those entry points over towards Reading, and Bolo knows that through one of them, he's going to have to push on in. There he goes, and he loses the fight. DarkZero get the 2 opening picks. Bolo and Achieved are sat down, giving DZ a 5v3 with a minute left on the clock.
Huge round there from Mint. The fact that he's alive is just a testament to DZ's control. Merc, though, he is the refrag machine. He has been picking up those kills to answer back for DarkZero's kills throughout this second half consistently. And that kill right there onto Houghton will give a fighting chance to TSM. If he hadn't gotten that, we'd be looking at pretty much an insurmountable task. Still very possible, though. East Repel is the focus here for TSM. They've got Chala at top red. He can apply some pressure and pick off some of the players that are looking at the East Repel. Ooh, that's big. He'll cut off the balcony, but he'll lose the fight to Eclipse, rather trade with Eclipse, both of them landing their headshots. Now it's all on Merc and Geo. Scratch that. Now it's all on Merc. He'll get the initial entry, the 1v1 now, but low HP on Merc. He has to rush with only 10 seconds left. No diffuser in hand. He has the stuns, but no time to use them. He goes for the push. This has got to be heard by Mint. With only 2 seconds left, all he needs to do is stay alive, and he'll do just that. DarkZero take yet another round on defense.
That one came a little too close for comfort for DarkZero. What a repel in and flick from Merc. But honestly, it really seemed like the big stumbling block for TSM. One, it was their entry onto that second floor. You pointed it out. The fact that Mint was not just able to get the kill on Bolo, but also stay alive, not surrendering that position. And with it, all that comes with holding Reading. Being able to play the angles that have been opened up in the floor, being able to play off of pillars, giving you that vantage point over towards New Hatch. Then you've also got white stairs that you can begin to head through. And if you know that there's nobody on that second floor, you are free and clear to head to red stairs and then ascend in that direction, because it is exceedingly unlikely that you're going to have somebody watching red hatch when you don't have the ability to pull off your execute, especially when you were trailing in numbers, as TSM ended up doing. And even though they did get the trade from Chala, you're still down at that point, and one of them is Merc, who's essentially on hard holding an angle on Repel, not flank watch necessarily, but in a position to catch a cross that might come through bar storage, might come from cocktail, etc. Ultimately, I mean, TSM seemed like they had a good idea of what they wanted to do, but they lost 2 gunfights right off the hop, setting them at such a disadvantage that even a very strong strategy is not always enough for you to come back from a 3v5. With that, DarkZero does take their 3rd round on defense, and I mean, I touted how good they are in attack. So far, they seem to be playing to the advantages that come with Cafe on defense, and now it's a return to Kitchen, where their defense started, as it's round number 10, DarkZero in the lead.
Ooh, is that a bakery extension? You don't see those a lot anymore. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just, some teams don't like doing it. I love the confidence on DarkZero. You have to have confidence to go for a play like this. Eclipse is going to be supporting Houghton with his magnets, throwing those out to try and catch any kind of projectiles. Achieved will drone hot and cold, and they know what's going on here. TSM is aware of the problem. Now, finding the solution is another thing entirely. You can see the castle barricade and the reinforcement allows a solid position for Hot and Cold to play off of. He's got the ADSs and the magnets to support him here, as I mentioned earlier. Sun's going in. Houghton will reposition. Skies is holding on to Small from Harry Potter coat check area. He'll fall back. That's actually dangerous, because now Bakery's exposed from a push from Small. But it's not going to matter, as Eclipse and Hot and Cold pick up 1 kill apiece. So the push from Bakery effectively stopped, and the attack seriously struggling. That's to get rid of the air jab that was placed directly above the door, now allowing for a flank from Skies.
Prime position to do that if he doesn't get discovered by Chala, who looks to be setting another air jab in a very similar place. And, well, Skies doesn't have any impacts left, so he'll hear the air jab get placed and then have to head elsewhere, and he'll shore up his possible weakness on his flank, as this extended Bakery hold is still very much going. And being assisted by a Maestro cam, the EMP will get caught. A second one will hit the Maestro square in the face, and down one goes, and will need to be picked back up. Finished off leaving Bolo inside of prep in a 1v4.
Wow.
He'll die. What dominance from DarkZero. They look indomitable so far. 4 rounds in a row. Match point for DZ on the very first map here in our grand finals.
You know, there's something just when you're watching it from the perspective of the person who dies, and that person who dies got pre-fired. There's something like upsetting about it, unnerving, I think is the right word. He wasn't even given a chance, Parker. The pre-fire was there, Hyper landed it, and DarkZero have rallied back on this map. We go from 4-2 to 6-4. Now, of course, that's keeping in mind the fact that we are now in the second half and DZ gets to defend. In a double hard breacher cafe, or double hard breacher ban on cafe. This is a very defender-sided map, made even more defender-sided. So keep that in mind. But so far, we have not seen the same ability to lock out attacking rounds on TSM side as we saw in the first half from DarkZero.
Bomb located by attackers.
This incarnation of DZ is a lot of fun to watch. They play a very stifling style of play, and their regional equivalent would be SSG during the Mute and Mozzie meta. A lot of people, I think, excused their losses to SSG by saying, oh, Space Station just abused the meta at 6th Invitational.
Space Station just played the game.
They just, you know, they used the optimal strategies presented at the time, and they did it better than everybody else. How dare they? You know?
I'm not even going to tell you how many times I've heard that in private. I've heard that from people in the community. I've heard that from teams. I've heard that from random viewers that make comments on Twitch chat. And I mean, that's my fault for reading Twitch chat. But
they use their brains, you know, when confronted with the brainless.
Space Station only did well because of Mute and Mozzie. And it was, but the point I'm trying to make is that it was very stifling, and you could tell that the way that SSG did it in their region, the same region that we're casting right now, which is North America, obviously, is they were able to punish you because you had to play their game, period. And right now, over the 2 days, now I guess day 3 that we've seen of the NA Mini Major, is that DarkZero has forced every team to play their game. Barring a couple rounds and an odd, you know, half of a map here and there, DZ has looked extremely comfortable with everything that these teams have thrown at them. They are prepared. They are ready. They have obviously done their homework. These are all things that we know DarkZero has been capable of in the past. They've struggled to put it into action. Not this time. Not this weekend.
Now, I think a big part of that, for me, or the way it seems, obviously I'm not on the team, but outside perspective here, DarkZero seemed like they just decided they wanted to play their own game, if that makes sense. It seems like they are more confident in, or more sure in themselves. When DZ or a player on DZ makes a play, it just seems like they know that's what the right decision is at that moment. And I think you put it well. You said they make other teams, or they force other teams play DarkZero's game. And the way they do that is by being the ones to initiate, being the ones to set the tempo, set the engagement. Is gas canisters a good example of control right now? As you can see, Eclipse is not only delaying, but doing a little bit of damage as well to Bolo, and allowing Mint to persist just inside of the pallet's corner. I don't think TSM is aware of this. No, the way they're playing, they don't know that there's someone still here. There is no way they've checked this. But the timing is really bad. There's a player behind that bar, but he doesn't know it. Mint doesn't know. There's so little information for both teams, and he might find the second. Yes, he will. Bolo doesn't get off cams. He's looking for a third, and he'll get it as he falls back to site. Mint with a massive round, and just a lot of bad information on, well, to be honest, both teams, and it works out for Mint.
This is a desperation, a Hail Mary grenade going on in as the chances to win this map for TSM have all but evaporated. And with it, it'll be series point, technically, for DZs. They'll only have one more map to go. There it is. It's in the books. They took map number 1 by virtue of not losing a single matchup. And now they're going to